The silence grew edges and poked me. My heart beat triple time. "Okay," I said, hoping I sounded confident. "I'll call my folks to come get me." I really hoped the person would leave. I didn't want them to know that I didn't have a phone. The person stood motionless for a long moment. Then, in a whirl that sounded like the flapping of birds' wings, they spun from view. I exhaled in relief, then stopped. I was still trapped in a hole. Plus, I couldn't call for help. Not if the person was still there. I blew on my fingers to warm them up. My friends would come looking for me when I didn't show up at Max's house, which meant Mom and Dad would come looking too. Then I'd be a fried banana when they realized I'd broken the town's rule that no one was to go near the abandoned houses. Above me, there was a slithering sound. It got closer. I backed up against the wall and hoped it wasn't a snake. A second later, the end of a rope slid into the hole. I tugged and it held. I scrambled free. When I emerged, I was alone. I looked over my shoulder at where the hole had been, but it had closed up behind me. The lawn looked normal. There was only me, gasping for breath, and certain that something terrible had landed in my town. 2. "Goodness," said Ms. Rogers when she opened the door. She eyed the dirt on my clothes. "Asim, what happened?" "I fell," I said, and stepped inside. "You poor thing," she said. "I'll make some hot chocolate. That'll get you warm." I cleaned up and changed into my pajamas, then met my friends in Max's room. "Did you really fall?" asked Malachi, brushing his dreads off his forehead. "Or did you run into something spooky?" "Both," I said. "I fell into a hole behind one of the abandoned houses." Max's blue eyes went wide. "What were you doing there?" I told them what happened. Devlin hugged his thin frame. "Those houses are creepy. I bet you saw a ghost. They're just air, that's why it couldn't help you." "Then who threw the rope down for him?" asked Rokshar. Devlin's cheeks puffed out. "A helpful ghost with telekinetic powers?" "A ghost that can move things with its mind?" Max hid under a blanket. "That's worse than a regular ghost." "Did you write it down in your journal?" Rokshar asked me. She and I had been keeping a record of all the spooky things we ran into. "Not yet," I said, "but I will." Rokshar moved to the computer and pulled her purple hair into a ponytail. "The fireball is weird. So is the hole spontaneously closing up." She started typing. We watched over her shoulder. She tried different search terms like glowing ball in Lionsgate and meteorite hole closing, but she didn't have any luck. "There's only one thing we can do." "Pretend it never happened?" Max said hopefully. "No," she said. "We investigate. Monday after school." Max groaned. "I was afraid you'd say that." Sunday night, before bed, I opened my journal. Step 1 of the scientific process was to ask a question. A glowing ball of fire appeared in the sky and landed behind the row of abandoned houses. What was it? How did the hole disappear so quickly? I pulled up my socks, then added, I fell into the hole. Why were the sides warm and smooth? I had a lot of guesses. The fireball might be a meteorite, space junk, something supernatural, or an alien ship. Step 2 of the scientific process was to form a hypothesis. But there were too many options for just one. I climbed into bed. The next morning, I had breakfast with my parents. "Do you want a slice of toast?" asked Dad, holding up a bag of bread. "No thanks," I said. "But it loafs you," he said. Mom and I groaned.